Today on Experts Showcase, Penny Zenker, productivity expert, taking you into the productivity zone. And Penny, welcome to Experts Showcase. We're so glad to have you as today's expert with this really important topic, productivity, time management, and I think we'll talk about why that's a bad term, right? So tell us a little bit about why what we're talking about in today's episode.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me here. Today's episode we're going to talk about the productivity zone. And the reason, I'll use that term loosely as you did time management. That's why I like to call it productivity. It's so important today because we live in a world of overstimulation today. People are overwhelmed, frustrated, and overloaded, and so, or at least that's the way they feel. And so it's why it's important to understand how do we perform optimally, efficiently, and effectively so that we feel good and we feel productive and really, are at the top of our game.
Absolutely. Excellent. And as we like to do on Expert Showcase, we try to break it down to three core bullet points, three keys to success. So I'm just going to review those real quick that we talked about before the show. So we're going to talk about productivity, and that it's not time management, it's energy management. Then we're going to get into the 10 core drivers that get you into and keep you into this productivity zone. And then we're going to talk about the 3 time wasters and how you can stay focused on your goals. So this sounds really great. As when we bring Chris on later, you'll find out that this is a really important topic for me. So you're going to be my coach and consultant for this episode. So let's talk about productivity. It's not about time management. I love that for a lot of reasons, but let's talk about that.
All right, well, I'll tell you 2 things about why it's not about time management. First of all, time management is a really broad term, and a lot of people understand it to be different things. Many people think of it as planning and organization, and that's time management. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that there's a lot more that go into it. So we need to be able to define specifically what is time management so that we can actually measure it and manage it, right? So that's the first thing. And secondly, if you don't mind me,
go right ahead.
is that time is finite. We can't control time.
Right, exactly.
Right? We think we have this illusion, right, that it's about time, but the fact is it isn't about time because time is finite and we can't control it. So we have to focus on what we can control.
And that's the key that I love so much because, I've always hated that term time management because if you try to manage your time, it's incredibly frustrating, right? Because unless you're into some kind of Einsteinian quantum physics or something and can approach the speed of light, that ain't going to happen, right? All we can do is try to organize, somebody once called it sequencing events or event management, not time management, and that was really helpful to me since I'm not necessarily the best time manager in the world, as some people will tell you. So how do you focus on that? You say it's energy management. What do you mean by energy management?
Well, that's right, because it's, a piece of it might be your event management that you talked about, but the fact is we all have the same amount of time. So what's the difference between a day where things just go like that, right, and you're just in the flow and you get a ton done, and that day where you're like, oh, where did the time go?
Exactly. What is the difference? Help me out here.
Well, you just said it. The difference is the energy. It's how you manage your energy and how much of yourself you bring to that time. So the fact is, it's not about time management, it's about how you manage your personal energy and how you show up for that time is going to make all the difference to what you achieve in that time.
And can you give us, me personally, I'm going to be very selfish here, can you give us some tips on how to, how to bring that energy? I mean, how do you work with your clients to approach this energy question?
Right, bring it.
Just bring it.
Bring it. Well, that's the thing, right? Is you need to know, okay, what are the components? And a lot of times people talk about things, but they don't give you the components. And there are actually 4 components that make up our energy management.
Okay, cool.
Right? So the first one, and I'll only be able to touch upon what they are. Obviously, right. It goes a lot deeper. It's the tip of the iceberg kind of thing. But the first one is purpose. And that's tapping into why you're doing something. Mm-hmm. Really understanding the goal and the vision there, right? And because that's where the passion and the drive comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the why, right, that drives you.
Right. And that can go down to the big why as well as the why and what you're going to do for this hour, mm-hmm. right? So it's at both sizes. The second thing is the language. It's the self-talk that we have. A lot of people are plagued with negative self-talk and asking ourselves really poor quality questions. So, really the way we show up for things, if we've got something to do and we go, oh, I hate this, you think you're going to bring your top energy to your game as you start to do it. No, right?
Right, exactly.
So the third thing is a thing that a lot of people think about all the time, which is focus. Mm-hmm. Right? So the third thing is focus.
That's my problem.
There you go. And in today's distractions, but there's actually 3 elements of focus. I'm not going to be able to go into that today, but there's a lot more, again, to define specifically what are the things that are going to help you get really laser focused.
Excellent. Cool.
You want to know what the 4th thing is?
I do. I'm waiting with bated breath here.
Well, it's obvious. It's physiology.
Okay.
Right? Because if
I got to be breathing.
You've got to be breathing, but it's more than, right? Then that's the funny thing is most of us don't breathe properly. When we're under stress, our breath starts to shorten, and we don't get the same amount of energy and, oxygen that we need. And so we actually get into more of a fight or flight type of thing so that we're not at our best.
That makes great sense. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's Jane Fonda's "Don't Forget to Breathe," right? We're back to the age-old "Don't forget to breathe," but it's the nutrition that we take in. It's how we take care of our body. It's very
clearly we're going to have you back to do an entire show episode just on energy management because clearly we could go on for quite a while there. But we're only, as you said, we're only going to be able to hit the highlights there because we want to hit a couple of other highlights here. So let me segue then into. You talk about 10 core drivers that people need to tap into to get into this productivity zone. So again, we're not going to have anywhere close to time to get into the 10. So we're basically going to identify them, and we're then going to tell people how to get in touch with you if they really want to dig in deep here.
Right. Well, you already heard 4 of them, so that's
okay. Okay, so those 4 points are part of the 10 drivers. Okay.
They are, because that would be really mean for me to throw another,
Because then it would be 14. Yeah, that would be really kind of, that's, yeah.
I think we're all confused, right?
You're pushing it. At 14, you're just asking a lot of me.
That's right. 10 is pushing it already.
All right, so we got 6 more to go.
You've already heard 4, and that's part of championship psychology, right? I group them to make it a little bit easier. So that energy management is also, it's our mindset, it's our psychology. Mm-hmm. And then we move into another segment, which is winning strategies. So once we get the psychology, and that has to be first, right? Those 4 things have to come first for everything else to follow. Otherwise, we're not going to get the result we're looking for. So the other 3 things that come are winning strategies. And I'll just name them, because we don't have time to go into them. And that's planning, process, and priority. Those are the things that are going to help us get control and set our strategies in the right direction.
So planning, process, and priorities.
That's right. And so the last segment is sustainable results, because we don't just want to blip up and then go back down. We want to be able to maintain that, right? And so that's in the sustainable results part. And there's 3 things that are part of that, and that is it's progress, so it's measurement, and it's proactivity. So those 3 things are going to go into making that the rest of building on top of that to create that stability.
Excellent. So there's a lot here to dig into, but I do like how you group them. That makes it a little easier for my brain to absorb them and and pull them all together. But yeah, this is very cool. And so if I can really get all 10 of these kind of humming along, this is like a large vehicle. It's a 10-cylinder engine that's kind of humming in sync. I'm going to be in what you're calling this productivity zone and have a lot more of those days where I feel like I've just gotten a ton of things done, right?
Absolutely. But the thing is there's not like one single point in the zone. It's not like you got to be a 10 at all of these items, because then that sounds stressful in itself.
They're all on a continuum, right, from day to day, moment to moment.
Right. Well, the key thing is that if you're working on any of those, it's going to help you to get back into the zone. So it gives you more flexibility, and you'll be able to assess yourself, through, I do have an assessment that enables you to actually, get a picture of where you are now, so that you can focus on the ones that maybe you might be great in planning, but your negative self-talk is really something that needs to be worked on. So you know specifically where you need to work, And that's a real benefit, because if you don't know where you are now and where you're falling short, then you're really not able to close the gap.
Right, you can't figure out where to really put your focus if you're trying to improve on these things.
Right.
So that makes perfect. I'm a big fan of assessments. We'll get to where people can tap into your assessment in just a minute. But before we do that, let's then talk about the time wasters. So what are the 3 time wasters you're talking about that really keep me from being focused on the goal?
Okay, so there's a lot of time wasters, but we'll give you the 3 top ones.
The big 3.
The big 3. Well, the first one we talked about, negative self-talk, is really a huge thing that holds people back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call it's the excuses, right? How many times do people spend so much time talking about why they can't do something? Oh, I don't have the time, and they go into like this elaborate excuse where they would have already been able to get started or create a little plan about how to do it or find someone else to do it in that time. So it's really, we get so caught up in our stories and our excuses, and those are one of the biggest time wasters that most people don't even think about.
And you know what people say all the time is, well, it's not an excuse. There's a reason. And somebody once told me, that's just the polite word for an excuse. We all have reasons, and just substitute reason with excuse, and let's deal with it, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So beyond the excuses, what comes next?
Well, we've got this, we went to this open environment where people have access to us all the time, right? Whether it's in an office space, they've gotten rid of offices and everybody has, these cubicles, or it's an open space, or we have accessibility with text messaging and so forth. So one of the biggest challenges is the got-a-minute meeting, okay? So let's face it, right? I dread those meetings. Hey, Penny, got a minute?
It's not generally a minute, is it?
Right. That's the killer part, right? And you've probably heard of the studies that it takes. Time management experts have shown that it takes about 20 minutes to get back into doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. Get right back on track. It's not like that. Now you got to kind of reboot,
Right. So if we're not in control of our environment, we're really wasting a lot of our time through those got-a-minute meetings. Excellent.
Okay. And what's our third biggest time waster?
And the third thing, and this is funny because we all know it, so many studies have been out there that tell us that multitasking, right, is something that is really wasting our time, because it's diminishing our focus, and it's really, I think I heard somewhere that it was in comparison to your productivity was about the same as smoking marijuana. So, whatever. I know that there's a saying that only women can multitask, and no offense, that's what I've read. But it's not. It's really not true. That when we're multitasking and we're not really focusing our attention and our priority on what we're looking to achieve, we are somewhat, throwing certain pieces of time and energy away.
Absolutely, and neuroscience has really now shown that really there is no such thing as a living human being who is a multitasker. There is a degrading of what you're doing on any of those tasks when you have 2 instead of 1. Some people are just better able at switching quickly, but really they are not really multitasking any more than your computer really can. I mean, everything starts to slow down the more programs we got running, right? So
absolutely, right. And even think about it. Some people think over little things like talking on the phone and folding laundry or something like that, and that might be fine. And if you're having a more intimate conversation and you really want to connect with someone, you're not 100% focused, and they can feel that, the energy.
I have not verified this one, but it's just too good a quote that somebody had, which is that because of all this technology and multitasking, that the human attention span has been measured to be slightly less than that of a goldfish.
There you go.
Then again, what has a goldfish got to focus on all that much in there? Well, Penny, this has been great. I mean, there's a wealth of information, obviously, here. We are barely scratching the surface. That much is clear. Maybe you should write a book. Oh, I guess you have.
Good idea. What should I call it, Mark?
That's right. So let me wrap it up, and I'll tell people what you've called it here. So we've been talking with Penny Zenker, who is obviously a productivity time management expert, even though we don't like that. She's going to help you manage your energy. We've been talking about the productivity zone and how you get in it and stay in it. We've covered the fact that it ain't about time management, it's about energy management. We've hit 10 core drivers that will get you into that productivity zone, and we've talked about 3 of huge time wasters that are preventing you from being more productive. So Penny, it's been great having you. I know that you have a great website. People can go to P as in Paul, 10 the numeral, app as in app.com. And we got it up on screen, so I don't know why I'm saying it out, letter by letter here, but maybe you're just listening. You're multitasking and you're not really reading the screen. Shame on you. And I know that you have written a book, right? And you have called it The Productivity Zone, Stop the Tug of War with Time. Did I get that right?
That's right. Shameless plug.
There you go. Shameless plug. So get on over to Penny's website, p10app.com. Check out the book. Clearly you need to get in touch with Penny directly where she can talk to you about how this gets customized to your personal circumstances. I know you do coaching, consulting, speaking, book writing. Did I miss anything?
But not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time. She does not believe in multitasking like that. So get in touch with Penny, p10app.com. Penny, it's been great having you on the show. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you. It's been great being here. Thank you so much.